just made the list.
The doctor will see you now.
I'm better than you, and you know it.
Hey everybody, this is Punk, Rock, and Pinfalls, and we are now on episode number 5, but of course this is the second episode of the relaunch, and I am Steve, and with me is my awesome co-host, Rev. How's it going today?
It is going well. How are you, Steve?
Doing all right. Ready to talk some wrestling and some punk rock, and it was quite a week in wrestling. We had our the debut of Collision, which we will talk about. But yeah, we had some cool stuff going on. And what's been going on in your week?
Just a lot of work. Just been chugging along. Last Wednesday, my car got hit and run, and that was a fun time.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a mess.
Yeah, so I've been dealing with that. But, it's onward and upward from here, and I'm excited to be here for another episode. Ready to do this.
Heck yeah. Well, why don't we go ahead and start off things with a song. This is from a band based out of Long Island, New York. They're called Iron Chic, and one of my favorite bands, actually. And back in May of 2021, they released a single, and this is the last thing they've recorded. They do not record nearly as often as they should, but we're going to go ahead and play that single, and this one is called Cat Gut. Gut by Iron Chic. What do you think?
Oh, that was actually a really good song. I really liked that one. That was really good.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. I really like the way everything, all the pieces complement each other. Like you've got the dual guitars going on, you've got multiple singers going on, rhythm sections is tight. Band is just amazing. They really need to put out more material.
That was really good. That was
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I got to see them. Ah, man, when did I see them? It's been a couple of years now, but yeah, it was good to see them live. Really good stuff. Cool. All right. Well, let's get started with some wrestling talk. Why don't we talk about anything interesting that happened in the world of WWE?
I mean, Tommaso Ciampa returned. That was
Yep.
my
saw
big
that.
news. Huge fan of that guy.
Yeah.
Super glad to see him back and in really impressive fashion. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with him. I think that was definitely the high point of the show for me, for sure.
Yeah. Were there any specific matches on either Raw or SmackDown that are worth mentioning?
I mean the segment where Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso kicked Roman Reigns' head off.
I think
that
I saw that.
That was great. Loved that segment. But from SmackDown, definitely that, and from Raw, Ciampa's return, 100%.
So what's going on with the Bloodline story now?
Well, I mean, the Usos have officially split from the Bloodline, and now at Money in the Bank, they're doing Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos.
Yeah.
At Money in the Bank.
Cool. And Money in the Bank is when?
I think it is Saturday, July the 1st, and it's in London, so I think it's going to be a daytime pay-per-view instead of a night one.
Oh, that's weird.
Think.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah. Anything? Are you still watching NXT?
I catch bits and pieces when I can. I think the biggest news of that was Seth Rollins accepting Braun Breaker's challenge for a World Heavyweight title match on NXT. So that ought to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I remember NXT was the one to watch back when Triple H was in charge. That was, in most cases, the best show of all three of them, at least from my perspective. That was the one that you just didn't want to miss. I don't know. After Vince took it over, it just kind of went downhill. But I hear it's starting to get better again.
Yeah, it's starting to get there. But I mean, it's still got a ways to go.
Yeah, I mean, you had some really talented people come out of there, like Ciampa came out of there, Gargano came out of there. Well, Adam Cole was there, but as far as I remember, never went to the main roster.
No, he was slated to, but he elected not to renew his contract.
Yeah.
But Adam Cole's best run in recent memory was in NXT for sure.
Yeah, that was a good run. And who else? Samoa Joe came from there.
Samoa Joe. AEW's Malachi Black is Aleister Black.
Yeah.
Ricochet.
Oh, that's right, Ricochet. He's good.
Rollins was an NXT guy. Big E was an NXT guy.
Nakamura.
Man, there's a whole bunch.
Let's see.
Rhea Ripley. Bianca Belair.
There's another female wrestler I'm thinking of, and Athena. I can't remember what her.
Yeah,
I can't remember what her name was in NXT now.
It was Ember Moon.
That's right. Yeah. That was some good stuff. Asuka,
Shayna Baszler.
Asuka had a hell of a run in NXT.
Oh, she did. She was a monster.
Yeah, that was some good stuff. But yeah, a little bit later here in our show, we're actually going to talk about our top 5 male wrestlers from the current WWE roster. See how that works out. But we'll talk about that a little later in the show. For now, let's go ahead and jump into another song. How about that?
Sounds great to me. Let's do it.
All right. This band comes from Los Angeles, California based the Shell Corporation. This album comes from an album that came out in March 2018 called Fucked. And the name of the song we are going to play is Make It Rain. So we're about to make it rain.
You made some bad decisions, and now you're circling the drain. What a shame, what a shame. Despite your best intentions, you'll watch it all go up in flames, and you'll take the blame. Rivers overflow when we make it rain. We are in control when we make it rain. Don't care about the heat wave because we're air conditioned, but you sweat for us like slaves because you're so conditioned. Not concerned for rising waters cause our house is on a hill, and when your meager life is swept away, you'll pay us to rebuild. Fair shares for our brothers, leave scraps for all the others. Rivers overflow when we make it rain. We are in control when we make it rain. Mountains wash away when we make it. Vengeance for our brothers, let's get for all the others. Rivers overflow when we make it rain. We are in control when we make it rain. Mountains wash away when we make it rain. God does what we say when we make it.
Right. The Shell Corporation with Make It Rain. Good stuff. What do you think of
Yeah.
that one?
I wasn't sure in the beginning, but then it grew on me as the chorus hit. The very beginning, I just I wasn't feeling it, but it
I can
came
see
through.
that. I can
It
see
came
that.
through.
Yeah, that's good stuff. They so that album came out in 2018. I think they've released an EP since then. Let me just check their site here real quick. I am curious. I seem to remember something else that came out after that. Yeah, they put out an EP in 2020 called "Told You So." But yeah, I'll have a link to their stuff in the show notes. So if you want to listen to more of them, those of you that are listening out there, I have a link for you to check out more of their stuff. So I'm curious, and I thought we'd have a discussion about this, but what was the first concert that you ever went to?
First concert like ever?
Yeah.
I would say I was a lot younger. I was visiting my uncle here in Dallas when I still lived in New Mexico, and it's 4th of July, and we were out in the pool, and we decided to go to the horse racing track because they were shooting fireworks off there here in Grand Prairie, and we watched 38 Special play live.
Okay.
So that's probably the first one I ever saw.
Yeah, I've never seen them. Yeah, my first concert, I was actually pretty young as well. And it was Motley Crue.
Ooh. That sounds like a good one.
It was a good one. I've actually seen them twice now. Once with and once without Vince Neil. It was interesting. So the first one with Vince Neil was of course in an arena. But the second time I saw him was actually in like kind of a tiny club. Not super tiny. It was just in comparison. But they had the other singer, John Corabi, and the club itself was still fairly packed. And it was a weird experience. Funny story behind that, but before I went to that concert, I went because a buddy of mine was going. He's like, "Hey, you want to go see Motley Crue with me?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah!" I actually did not know that Vince had left the band. So I'm like, "What the hell is this?" Yeah, so that was funny stuff. So that was your first one. What is the most recent one you've been to?
The most recent concert I have been to was it was back in November, I want to say, and I saw Atreyu, Black Veil Brides, Ice Nine Kills, and Motionless in White.
Okay,
it was my last concert here in Dallas. Atreyu is my favorite band. And so I had never seen them live before.
I've never heard of them, so I'll have to check them out.
They're they're like a metalcore band.
Okay.
They've been around for a long time. Changed lead singers now.
Yeah.
But I love those guys. They were the band that introduced me to metal. I had heard things like Linkin Park and stuff that was like, alternative and things like that. But I'd never heard metal before. And I heard the song Bleeding Mascara by Atreyu, and I was hooked. I was like, okay, this is it. This is my scene right here. I love this. So I got to see those guys, and then got to see 3 other amazing bands after that. It was really great.
Where did they play?
They played at a little venue here called the Southside Ballroom.
Okay.
And yeah, it was fantastic. I can't wait for them to come back. They were great.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of shows in Dallas down in the Deep Ellum district.
Mm-hmm.
And then other than that, I think the only venue I can remember other than that, although there has to have been others, the only other venue I can remember is I don't even know what it's called this time. They change the name of the venue every week. It used to be the American Airlines Center. It's out by the State Fair Park.
Yeah, the AA Center is still there.
It's called I forgot what it's called now. It's let's see. It's called the no, it's not the American Airlines Center. I'm thinking of something else. No, I'm looking at a picture of the American Airlines Center. That is not what I'm thinking of. Let's see.
I know down in that.
Okay, I know what it is. It is now called the Dos Equis Pavilion.
Okay, yeah, there's a few shows coming that I want to go to there. So
yeah, it used to be the Gexa Energy Pavilion, and then it was the let's see. It also used to be the Smirnoff Center. Had a couple other names. Superpages.com Center. The Starplex. And now it's called the Dos Equis Pavilion. But yeah, I've been to quite a few shows there. Oh, you know what? I actually saw Metallica at Texas Stadium when it was in Irving.
Gotcha.
And that was a long time ago. Metallica was double headlining with Guns N' Roses, and really the highlight of that show for me was the opening band, Faith No More.
No, Faith No More is amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. So the last concert I went to, I mean, I go to a lot of concerts. So I went to a show from a band based out of Chicago called Voice of Addiction. And they played a little club called the Grand Royale. And that's a nice little venue. It's, I don't even think it's a year old yet. It's pretty new. But yeah, that's a pretty cool place. Good stuff. But do you by chance remember your first punk rock concert?
I don't think I've seen anybody major. It's just been like local bands from towns that I was living in. But I mean, I've been to a few, and they weren't like the people that I went to see. They were just kind of like openers and things like that. And to be honest, it's been so long that I probably couldn't tell you names. But yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple, not as many as I'd like.
Yeah.
But living in Dallas now and being able to get into the concert scene, I'm sure I can find quite a few punk shows.
Definitely. There's definitely a lot coming up. And I can't think of the next one that's coming to Dallas that I'm going to go see. I'll have to check my my list. But cool stuff. Concerts are fun. So the next song we are going to play comes from a Toronto-based outfit called Amy Gabba and the Almost Famous. And those folks put out an EP in June of 2020 called The Heart is Stupid. And the song we are going to play is Soulmates and Strangers. It has an interesting little feel to it. I think you'll like it.
Soulmates and strangers and love and a danger to running away like your life depends on it. And lovers and haters and authentic fakers and everything and suddenly nothing at all. It's all coming to an end. It's about to be history. Just someone I used to love in another century. Went from a necessity to the very air that I breathe, to someone I pretend that I don't see on the street. An awkward wave below, and all you really want to know, how did we get here? How did we get here? And that awful work about when all you're living is a lie. How did we get here? How did we get here? How can we be soulmates and strangers and love and a danger to running away like your life depends on it? And lovers and haters and authentic fakers and everything and suddenly nothing at all.
Amy Gabba and the Almost Famous.
That was a really good one. I liked that one a lot.
Yeah, real catchy. Got kind of a ska punk feel to it. Good stuff. Good band. They've got a lot of really cool stuff. I think if they haven't already, they may have just released a new EP. Actually, it may be a full length. Yeah, they actually just released a full length on June 4th called "Screaming at the Top of My Lungs." I've heard a couple of tunes from it. I really need to listen to the rest of that, but yeah, definitely worth checking out. So check out the link that will be in the show notes for Amy Gabba and the Almost Famous. All right. Well, let's talk some AEW. Did you watch? I know you watched Collision, but did you watch any of Dynamite?
I caught highlights. That's kind of been the thing with AEW for me, is because obviously I don't have cable.
Oh yeah, I gotcha.
So I catch highlights.
Yeah.
I mean, again, overall a really good show. Dynamite was. I mean, the quality of their shows have gotten better going forward, especially as we're closing in on Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
But Collision was a must see for obvious reasons for me.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Dynamite was really good, much better than the week prior. The opening match was actually the World Championship Eliminator match between MJF and Adam Cole, and that was a hell of a match. It was really good. I mean, MJF kind of took control early and dominated most of the match, early on. But then we finally got some offense from Adam Cole, and then it's just a lot of really good back and forth. At one point, the referee got knocked out, and he recovered, and the match actually ended in a time limit draw. Adam Cole had MJF pinned, and the bell went off after 2. So yeah, it was a crazy finish, but I mean, to be honest, this to me is how the match should have ended, because we want to keep this feud going, and either one of them winning is not an ending, or is an ending, and we don't want an ending. At least not right now. But this is how I think the match should have ended. So I was actually, as aggravating as it was, it's definitely it was definitely the way I think it should have ended.
Definitely, it was really good. I enjoyed the highlights I watched of it.
Yeah.
Fantastic pay-per-view quality match. But the show from top to bottom was actually pretty good. It really was.
Yeah.
Didn't have like any low moments or anything like that. So I was really impressed.
Yeah. Ended with a match between Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite. I mean, that was one hell of a match, and the aftermath was pretty crazy too. So yeah, Dynamite was a really good solid watch. Definitely worth going to check it out. So now I actually did not, and still have yet to watch Rampage. I keep meaning to, but I didn't watch Rampage yet. I've heard there was some good stuff that happened, but I just never got around. I don't know why. But Collision was definitely a must watch for both of us. Me and my wife Mandy actually went over to my friend Floyd's house and watched it there because we just had to see the return of Punk. So what were your overall impressions of Collision?
To be honest, it was probably the best AEW episode I've seen in a long time, top to bottom.
Yeah.
Punk's promo in the beginning was really great. I think it sets the tone for his run this time. I really enjoyed it. Then the second match having Wardlow drop the belt, I didn't really. I mean, I guess I agree that it was kind of getting stale and there needed to be a change, but I don't agree with how it happened.
Yeah.
I don't think Luchasaurus should have been the guy he dropped it to.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I mean, I don't dislike Luchasaurus, but
I don't think he's like ready to be in that spot. Like he's kind of I guess, but
yeah.
Then I'm trying to think exactly what match came after that.
After Wardlow and Luchasaurus was
it the Outlaws and Willow Nightingale and Sky?
No, there was another match before that. Oh, I think it was Andrade and Buddy Matthews.
Oh yeah. That was a really good match too. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was a decent match. It was good to see Andrade back.
Absolutely.
There were times in that match I was wondering, is he still hurt, or is this just him working us? But the match after that was actually, I don't think it was it a match, because Miro came out.
Oh, it was a match.
It was a match between him and
Mark Sterling. Accepted an open challenge from Tony Nese, and it happened to be Miro. And Miro,
right.
Miro basically destroyed the guy.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm glad to see Miro back. He looked phenomenal.
Yeah. Another one that hasn't been around in a while.
Yeah.
It was good to see.
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. The next match was the one you were thinking of, Willow and Sky Blue versus Ruby Soho and Tony Storm. And I'm not sure how I felt about that. I mean, it was, I think I get the impression that they are really trying to push Sky Blue some more.
Probably. I think so too.
They were in Chicago, so letting her get the pin over Ruby was probably kind of a hometown thing.
For sure.
So yeah. After that, we had let's see. After that was the match. After that was the main event between CM Punk and FTR and Bullet Club Gold and Samoa Joe. Let me get your opinions on this match first.
I really enjoyed the match. There was a lot of story that could happen there. From the inevitable face-off of Joe and Punk.
Yeah.
To Joe tagging in blindly, which looked like it really upset Juice Robinson. So
yeah,
I have a feeling Joe and BC Gold are gonna feud now. But I really enjoyed it. Lots of really good chemistry between Punk and FTR.
For sure.
I really enjoyed that. And I really I was a really big fan of Punk's Bret Hart inspired gear.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I really enjoyed the match. I liked the psychology of it. And I really liked that Punk and Joe let loose a little bit, and they were peppering each other pretty good.
Yeah, I was seeing some comments about that one online, is where like somebody had mentioned that one of the problems Punk had with Hangman was the chops that Hangman made on Punk. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really buy that, because he's taken some pretty hard chops from a lot of other people. There's got to be something else going on there. And this one just kind of proved that theory, because Samoa Joe, man, he
let Punk up.
He
Yeah.
laid into him, man. It couldn't, and that's a couple of people with some history. So I would like to see a singles match between them. There's a lot of history between those guys. I think they work well together.
They do for sure.
And speaking of working well together, I think FTR and CM Punk are a good team up.
Yeah, I could see them going after the trios titles against the House of Black for sure.
Yeah, that'd be good stuff. And then I remember the blind tag. I don't remember seeing Juice Robinson's reaction to it.
Oh, he was mad. He was heated about it for sure.
Yeah. But all in all, good match and a really good episode of Collision. Looking forward to seeing another one and seeing what kind of stories they can come up with. Oh, you know what? Another thing I wanted to mention about Collision. Did you notice how the so Collision aesthetically looked different from Dynamite, which it should. It's a different show. But did you notice that it kind of had an almost WCW Nitro look to it?
Oh yeah. The logo and everything is very WCW Nitro.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool and a really cool callback to WCW. Good stuff. All right. Well, we are going to be talking about our top 5 male WWE wrestlers in a little bit, but we're going to take a music break. And okay, so this one's a little different or a little weird. So I knew I wanted to play this band. This band is based out of Belgium. They are called FOD, and they're by far their best album is their most recent, which is Sleepville, which came out in November 2020. And I was trying to pick out which song to do, and it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to play. And then I picked a song, and I started listening to it, and I'm like, this song doesn't sound right unless I play the one after it too, because they kind of segue together. And I was like, because I went and I just listened to just that song, and I'm like, okay, that ends really abruptly, and it doesn't sound like the way it was meant to be. So we're actually going to play both of the songs, and hopefully my segue on it is as clean as they do it, and it probably won't. But so the song we're going to be playing from FOD are Food for Thought and On an Island. So buckle up, it's going to be a while.
Can be proud of the place you were born. There's no point being fundamental or irrationally proud of the soil you walk upon. Excessively overblown and sentimental. Just a little knowledge of the world. I'm quite alright. For I judge without distinction, points of view are far and wide. I'm a judge without authority, I keep my thoughts and play. I know that choices made aren't mine to serenade. Sometimes I wanna be left alone, blind to the world, everything unknown, and leave me on an island on my own. Is it because I would like to have it all my way? I have gone through self-reflection, wondering whether all is a-okay. On my side of this crowded part of planet Earth, where none should criticize what it's all worth. But then again, sometimes I wanna be left alone, blind to the world, everything unknown, and leave me on an island far away from all that's bothering me. Left on my own so I cannot see, and leave me on an island all alone. I'd like to clear my mind a little sometimes. And so I build a solid little shelter for a small amount of downtime. Sometimes I wanna be left alone, blind to the world, everything unknown, and leave me on an island far away from all that's bothering me. Left on my own so I cannot see, and leave me on an island on my own.
All right. FOD with Food for Thought and On an Island. I knew I was going to fuck up that transition. What I should have done is spliced them together using an audio editor or something. Man, yeah. So, man, amazing band, amazing album, amazing songs. What do you think?
I enjoyed it. It definitely, you could definitely tell it is a like European type band. You can definitely tell from you know, some of the ways that their rhythms go. I listen to a lot of like far European Swedish metal, so very distinct.
A lot of distinct classical.
Oh yes, they're very melodic for sure.
Yeah, good stuff. And I don't know if you notice, like, the words, the lyrics specifically to On an Island have a very heavy mental health awareness tone. A lot of, you know, the whole idea is leave me alone on an island so I can just be by myself. And it's from top to bottom. It's just both of these songs are really good, and you can't hear one without the other. It just doesn't make sense. So that's the way I played it. But yeah, you definitely should go check out the entire album, because the entire album is really good. Like, they released it, like I said, back in November of 2020. And then about a year later, they released a deluxe edition. And it's almost like a double album now. But yeah, it's really good. It's definitely worth checking out. All right, it is list time. We're going to do a list. We're going to try these out and see how they work out, see if they fit the format of the show. So we are doing our top 5 current WWE wrestlers, specifically the male wrestlers tonight. We'll do female wrestlers at another time. And so, as I explained this earlier, basically we're going to talk about them in descending order. start with our 5, get down to our 1, and then we're just kind of round robin this one and each take turns kind of and see how that goes. So, do you want me to start? Do you want to start?
No, you go for it.
Okay. Keep in mind, I do not currently watch WWE all that often, but these are wrestlers that were around and are still around from when I was watching regularly, and often say, yeah, I would like to see them more and would consider watching WWE again so that I can watch these guys. So, starting off, my number 5 is Rey Mysterio. I've been watching him for a long time, and I honestly can't believe that he's still that he's still wrestling, especially with all the injuries that he's had. But I really like his style. I'm not crazy about the whole storyline with his son, but just him as a wrestler, like his in-ring persona, and just all around good guy and amazing athlete.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I gotta say my number 5 would be Edge.
Okay.
Edge has been one of my favorite wrestlers for a while. Seeing him, arrive as the Brood with Christian and Gangrel, and then on to TLC with the Dudleys and the Hardys, all the way through, Rated R Superstar, up until, retiring and coming back. I have been a huge fan of him all along. I love his style. His character work is fantastic. He's always been able to play whatever character he's in really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
That make you love him or hate him. And yeah, I'm just, glad he's back. Glad I get to watch some more matches with him. Definitely really cool for me.
Yeah, he had a pretty gnarly injury that kept him out for a long time.
No, yeah, he was thought he had to retire, and he did retire.
Yeah.
And now he, much like Daniel Bryan, got to come back.
He's a Hall of Famer, isn't he?
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and then he came back with kicked off an interesting storyline with Finn Balor, and ended up blowing up into a new faction.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, he gets, one more world title run before he has to hang it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, my number 5 is Edge for sure.
Awesome. Good choice. My number 4, I'm probably going to look like an ass here because I've never actually seen this wrestler on the main roster, and I'm pretty sure he's on the main roster. So I'm just going to go with it and hope that he is. But all the time that I watch this guy is from his NXT days. And I am referring to Johnny Gargano. Love his character work. Love his in-ring work. He's just one of those characters that you can't hope or you can't help but root for. And, ever since seeing him in, I haven't been a fan of his really long, but I remember seeing him in first seeing him in the Cruiserweight Classic. I don't remember how many years ago that was. But yeah, the Cruiserweight Classic, and then, his work in NXT, the feud he had with Tommaso Ciampa, and just really good work that he has done, both in the ring and just creating stories.
Yeah, definitely agree. Definitely a fan for sure. My number 4 is Tommaso Ciampa.
That's
My
good.
number Tommaso Ciampa is at first when he first came in, I really wasn't that big of a fan. But then when he became Blackheart and went heel, and you really got to see like a whole new level of personality with him, whole new level of swagger. It really resonated with me. I'm like, okay, so this guy's not just a tag team guy. This guy can, go out there and be like the main guy. And his rivalry with Johnny Gargano, like, oh my goodness, like so good. So many really good matches there. And then his rivalry with Adam Cole was fantastic.
Yep. Oh man.
Had some really great
Daddy's home.
really great matches there. And again, him returning on Raw, and we're seeing shades of that NXT Blackheart character, just smash mouth in your face. Like I loved it. It was so good. I'm so happy he's back.
Yeah, I may have to watch Raw just to see his return.
Oh man, it was so good. It was so good.
Yeah, he probably would have been number 6 for me.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, he's definitely one of the favorites. But actually the first time I remember seeing him was also in the Cruiserweight Classic. In fact, he wrestled Johnny Gargano in that.
He did.
That was such an amazing match.
Yeah, that led them both getting signed. Yep.
Yeah. Watching them in that match, and it was just like, okay, I have to watch these guys and see what's up with them. Okay, that was your number 4. My number 3 is Kevin Owens. Also have not been a fan. I say very long. I mean, it's been a crap ton of years, but it doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't seem like it's been that long. But I didn't start watching him until his NXT run. His back and forth feud with Sammy. And it continues, to this day, even on their main roster, it's been back and forth with them. But I'm really happy to see. So that was a match that I did watch at WrestleMania, where those two got the belts. And he's got a very interesting style, because like he's not necessarily huge like some of the really big guys in WWE, but he's also not tiny like a Rey Mysterio or somebody like that. So he does use his size to his advantage, but he also does some things that's like, a big guy really be doing that? So he's got a really good style. Loved his run with, and I don't remember how many years ago this was. I loved his run when he had Jericho as kind of a sidekick. Just does some good in-ring work and good like story stuff. Really good stuff. So number 3, Kevin Owens.
Yeah, Kevin Owens is pretty awesome. He would probably been number 6 on my list for sure.
Yeah.
My number 3, ironically enough, is Johnny Gargano.
All right.
Johnny Gargano, again, much like in an episode of Frame Rates and Face Locks, where your good buddy DJ interviewed me. Johnny Gargano, like, the underdogs resonate with me, because in the ring I've never been one of the big guys. I'm always on the very smaller end. So seeing somebody that embodies underdog, I mean, you just gotta root for him when you see him. Like, you have to. He just grabs you like that. So not only that, but he's incredibly talented in the ring. He has a mind to know when spots should be, when they make the most sense for the most emotional like investment in that spot. And his facial expressions tell a story so well, like so well. He's so good at conveying emotion in the ring. So, huge fan of him. Definitely, easily my number 3.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about the whole. I mean, it's obvious, but I hadn't really thought about the whole underdog role. He is definitely the quintessential underdog in that company.
Oh yes, for sure.
Yeah, great guy, awesome. Where does that leave us? Number 2, very closely related to my number 3, but Sami Zayn. Man, watching since El Generico, and for the most part, starting out the first few years watching him, and then into his NXT run, it was mostly more leaning on the in-ring work, the in-ring ability, with some really good shining spots with storyline. Of course, the back and forth in NXT with Owens, but then you really get to see him shine. It's in the last year with his run in the Bloodline. He did some amazing mic work, promo work during that storyline. So funny. Such a great guy, and just again one of those characters that you're kind of an underdog, but you just can't help but cheer for him. And yeah, I don't know how long this team up with Owens is going to last, but hopefully for a while, because this is a good tag. I hope they have a good tag run.
Yeah, Sammy is unique in the fact that it's really easy to get wrapped up in how entertaining he is and forget how talented he is in the ring.
Yes.
And so he surprises you every time because you're so focused on like his mic work and the things he does and how funny he is. Then he goes out there and does amazing things in the ring, and you're blown away every single time. So
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, one of my not one of my first memories of him, but one of my first like oh my God, this is how good he is moments was his title match in NXT against Neville.
Oh yeah, it was really good.
Was such an amazing match. Yeah, good stuff. All right, so what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Ricochet.
Good choice.
Ricochet, I think human highlight reel is an understatement. I've watched him since PWG, New Japan, Lucha Underground. To say amazing things that somebody can do in a ring is an understatement. Yeah. Probably one of the most athletic men on the roster. He fits in just about any role you want to put him in. He can, he has humor. He can go out there and put on matches that steal the show. He's good. He sells really well when somebody's trying to, get put over wrestling him. He's just really good at what he does. And probably, I don't think there's been a match with Ricochet that I have not looked forward to. From seeing his matches with Will Ospreay back in New Japan, some of the things he's done in NXT, and even now, like his rivalry with Ali, and what he did with Samoa Joe. He's just really, really good and really entertaining to watch, and you never know what you're going to see when Ricochet's in the ring. You just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, he's a good choice. He does some amazing stuff in the ring. Definitely a top wrestler, top tier wrestler, or should be. Okay. So my number 1, here it is, my number 1 current roster WWE wrestler. I've been watching this guy, oh man, since his days in TNA. And I just really like, I just like everything about the guy. And we're referring to AJ Styles. So, just liked him ever since I first started watching him. And, he went over to New Japan after leaving TNA, after, dropping or I actually didn't even really drop the belt per se. But I just like everything about him. And when he came to WWE the first time, that was just like one of those moments that you just have to cheer, and he doesn't get I mean, based on what I've seen recently, he doesn't get near enough time, but he's also getting a little bit older, so he probably doesn't want a whole lot of time in the ring. But I'd like to see more of him. And he's just amazing. What can you say about AJ Styles, man? He's AJ Styles.
Yeah, for sure. So my number one, ironically enough, is also AJ Styles. AJ Styles.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, no kidding. AJ Styles. Again, I didn't even know what Total Nonstop Action Wrestling was. I was, WWE guy.
Yeah, it's what is now Impact.
Yeah, and so like I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah,
and watching WWE, and we had a video rental store in town, and I worked there and could get rentals for free, and I would browse the wrestling section, and I saw TNA wrestling, and I was like, what is this? I've never heard of anything about this. So I would check out those DVDs, and quickly became my favorite guy. Just seeing him in the Ultimate X match, the very first Ultimate X match, I just was blown away by this guy. The way he moves in the ring is almost effortless. The only other person in WWE currently that I could even say comes close to that, is Randy Orton. They're both so fluid, and everything is just crisp and perfect. It just AJ is just a whole nother breed. Not only that, but since he came to WWE and TNA, you really didn't get to see it much. But coming into WWE, you see that he can be an entertainer as well. Not only is he a phenomenal athlete, but he's like his heel run with the OC. When they first came in, and they had that whole beat up John Cena thing every week, and
I remember that storyline.
He's super entertaining. He's so entertaining.
So
but in the ring, like he really is like the current generation's Shawn Michaels. Like he really is. He's just that good.
Yeah. And
I don't think I've seen a bad AJ Styles match. I don't think I've ever seen one. He's just so good. So good.
So have you seen any of his stuff in New Japan?
Oh yes.
Okay.
By that time I was a huge fan. So
gotcha.
And to be honest, that was like my introduction to the Bullet Club. Like I didn't watch when Balor was Prince Devitt over there. I didn't even know who they were until AJ left and went to Japan and became the leader of the Bullet Club, and that's when I was like my introduction to the Bullet Club.
Yeah, same.
So I followed him all the way through there, and just like you were saying, like his debut in the Royal Rumble, it was like time standing still.
Yes,
because couldn't believe my eyes. I thought that would never, ever, ever happen. Like I was like, it's like Sting when he debuted in WWE. Like never thought it would ever happen, ever.
Yeah.
So
that was such an amazing feeling.
It was. I think he came out like number 3 or 6. I don't remember. I know it was very, very early.
Yeah.
And it was where Reigns was defending his title in the Rumble, and whoever won the Rumble was the champion.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I just remember Reigns in the corner having eliminated Miro or Rusev at the time. And music hits and you don't know who it is. And you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then he came out and I was just biggest pop ever. I was so happy. And I can't wait to see what he does. I hope he gets, another run with the belt.
Yeah.
But yeah,
any belt really.
Any belt. He's amazing. I'm really happy he's there, and I can't wait to see, what else he does before he hangs it up.
Yeah, definitely. That's crazy that our number one is the same. That was not pre-planned, folks.
No, it was not.
Cool. So that was our top 5 current male wrestlers in WWE roster. And let's see, what do we have up next? We're just about done, actually. Okay. So I said last week that I was going to do this. So I figured I'd go ahead and get it out of the way. I said I was going to play a Get Fired song. So for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, Get Fired is one of the multiple bands that I have played with over the years. This one just happens to be the most recent band that I have played with. Of course, you can imagine that trying to pick a song from this library was difficult. There are a lot of them that I really like, and there are some out there that I don't really care for. But I decided to go ahead and go with a more recent one. Right before I moved to Michigan, we got together and recorded an EP as kind of a send-off. So this EP was called Engineers of Mediocrity. It was released in May of 2022. So it's the newest song that we're playing tonight. So the song that I decided to pick was a song called Confession of Faith. So here that is.
One of them, 'cause if I was, I'd have to pray. And then I'd live in fear of myself and be careful of what I say. Thank God I'm not one of them, 'cause if I was, I'd be full of shame. And I'd have to live
So there you have it. Get Fired with Confession of Faith. Thoughts?
That was pretty good. I definitely see what you mean by like a very grunge guitar band kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But that's not a negative thing. That's it's pretty cool. Like I enjoyed it, and it's pretty cool, knowing that you had part in that. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, the guitar player is just he's so amazing. We worked really well together as far as kind of songwriting partners, and yeah, he's actually playing in a band now called Dion Warlock, and they're a lot of fun. There's a lot of Pixies, Talking Heads, Guided by Voices vibes going on with that band. I'll definitely have to play some of their stuff at a later date. But they're really good. You know what? Speaking of which, I just realized that Voice of Addiction was not my last concert. Dion Warlock was my last concert. I just went and saw them like 2 weeks ago. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I saw them at a little club here in Norman, Oklahoma called The Deli. But yeah, it was a lot of fun doing that final recording as a band. But yeah, fun stuff. All right. Well, that about wraps things up for this episode. Next week we may or may not try this live. Maybe we'll see. But next week, we will have Come and Gone with Forbidden Door. So we will definitely have lots to talk about in regards to Forbidden Door. It will probably be a Forbidden Door heavy episode, I imagine.
Definitely.
Yeah, so everybody out there, thanks for tuning in to Punk Rock and Pinfalls. Thanks for joining me again, Rev.
Absolutely.
And we will let you guys tune in next week, hopefully. And that is all for us for this episode. So have a great week, folks.
Good